Football fans, Gooners, welcome to the World Cup edition, World Cup 22 edition of the Positively Uncensored Arsenal podcast. It's a massive round table. We have had our stops and starts, which we'll not share with you. And we have to welcome back for the first time in months, Byso. How are you?
Hi guys, I'm fine.
Brand new makeover. We can't even recognize her. Next up is a man who has been missing for months. Mr. 200 games for Arteta before we can see improvements. Ehab, welcome back, my friend.
Hey, Shotta. I think it feels like I've heard this
It feels like like
before,
ages
about
and
15
eons.
minutes ago.
Yes. And finally, a friend of the podcast. I think the first edition for this season he was on and has disappeared immediately. Apparently, family obligations. I've held you back, Seebs. How are you? Are you there with me,
Yeah,
Seebs?
I'm fine. I hope everybody likes my Byso's.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
you are coming in. You're coming in a little muffled, but you're still coming in. But I'm going to take care of that problem. And George wants,
You can
of course,
hear me, yeah?
the one and only Blackburn George is here with us. And George, how are you doing?
I'm all right.
Good. Guys, we for some reason with this huge audience, we are having a little issues with the audio, but you guys are looking very good. The person who's looking the best, of course, is Byso because she's looking younger. Byso,
Yes.
I'm bringing you in. 12 games in, 5 points ahead at the top of the table.
Incredible. Good job, Arsenal.
Yes. City behind us, faltering. We are going to win the league. Your thoughts on this,
Absolutely.
Byso? Are you surprised, shocked? What are your impressions?
Well, they definitely have exceeded my expectations. It's actually quite surprising that we are still where we are. But also it feels good, right? But at the same time, I'm trying not to get carried away because this is what Manchester City do. They let you go ahead and then they just, overtake you in the last minute, and then you start holding your head, wondering what the hell happened, right?
Ask Liverpool.
But then again, this is the World Cup year. Anything is possible. Manchester City have a lot of stars there, so who knows? Their second half of the season, which they normally are very great at, may not be as great as it was in the past. So there could be a little bit of chance for Arsenal to steal this, but it definitely feels good and happy to be on top of the table.
You got a lot of criticism when you said in the past that Arteta had to be changed and was not very good at changing things around. Am I accurate there? How has he done so far?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, my biggest concern was definitely how he manages when the first team is not available to him. So far, we've had most of the first team available.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen what happened, like when, for example, we didn't have Partey in the team for that Manchester City game.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also seen our performances in the Europa League and in the Carling Cup. We got dropped off, right?
Yes.
And so there is that concern. So is the issue such a high drop in I would say quality of players when we're going from the first 11 to the others, or are we having, is the manager, finding it a little bit difficult to get a second string team playing in a similar fashion, right? As the first string team. So I think it's a combination of the two. But, at the same time, I've sat here and enjoyed decades of Arsenal second team playing beautiful football and going deep in Carling Cup competitions and
FA Cup.
doing well in the Europa League group stages, right? So that's why I think it's a bit of combination of the two, which hopefully it will improve. And there are rumors that we're going to spend in January. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's see.
Well, my thought is that once you hear Arteta praising the owners, then I know he's looking money. But Ehab, um, you must not be surprised. You said 150 games, 200 games. Actually, we would see a better manager. What are you surprised? Are you quite consistent with where you expected the team?
Yeah, the team is doing good, man. It's doing above expectations. It's going great. I hope it stays this
Wow,
way.
you're going in.
It's really important that we take it one game at a time, and not think of the whole thing like, oh, it's a campaign to win the season. It's 20 games. Take it one game at a time. Enjoy the cushion of the 5 point cushion. We have a much bigger chance at top four now than when we started, and it's just looking good. It's really good, and he's learned the basics. Now he's the 50 upcoming games. He's gonna learn the abnormal things, the special situations and special circumstances when you have to start a, like when you have to deal with injuries, when you have to deal with all these kind of things, and when you have to deal with better managers that come in and they respond to what you're doing. So you have to adjust within game. You have to guess stuff. He's made a couple of mistakes there right now, this season. But he's gonna learn in the long run. But I'm really happy with the head start that we got, and hopefully we can carry it to the end of the year. We are in a very good situation.
Aren't you pleasantly surprised that all the they say in they say in basketball junk formations, right? I know if you're a basketball fan, but bringing
Yeah,
Tomayasu as a left back, persisting with that, Ben White as a fullback.
yeah,
Don't you give him a lot of credit as a management? I call it a junk formation because I don't know how long you can persist with that.
yeah. He's had the thing with Arteta is he's had an intense learning course throughout the first 3 years. What the things that he has seen, other managers could have gone 7, 8 years without seeing. Just dealing with all the money that he had to spend. Some managers spent 10 years before they spent $600 million, 600 million pounds. All the players that came in that he had to ship out, all the problems he's had, COVID season, World Cup in the middle of the season, um, those kind of things. But he had time to try, and this is why I always said keep him, because he has time to try. He has time to try Tomiyasu on the left. He has time. He tried Cedric on the left, I think, last season for a
Yeah,
while.
but that didn't
So
work.
yeah, but Tomiyasu could have not worked either. But he's worked because Tomiyasu is a good player. He's a smart player. He knows what he's doing. And hopefully he's learning from the mistakes. That's my biggest issue with people who support Arteta blindly, is if we keep saying that, oh, this is what he planned all along, then the mistakes are gonna repeat themselves when it's time. And I'm giving him credit because he's learned. I don't want to sound like an idiot, but I always do. So I'm just gonna say I'm not surprised because this is what I've seen, what I've thought will happen. I thought he's gonna
Well,
start. He's got to start learning how to do this. He's gonna start to bring the ball inside from the wings little by little, and he's gonna start to once it comes inside, he's gonna start to play more cutbacks. He's gonna have more people in the box. He's gonna learn to manage with the DM going up front and play in the high line. Those things, they take time, and he's taken 150. Today at this time, he's a good manager. He's considered an okay manager, better
yeah.
than, like last year I would put him number 16th 15th in the league. Today, he's definitely top 10, if not the top six. But playing against those six and dealing with the issues, he's made himself immune to the issues that faced Wenger, which is the injuries, because we have a huge squad, and I've been saying this for 3 years. When Reece Nelson was on loan last year, and he comes in out of nowhere and scores a brace in a PL game, and gives an assist. I mean, what else do you need? And you have injured players. Zinchenko's not playing. You have Patino, who's doing great in another place. You have so many. He has a huge team with people on loan, and so he's kind of immune to having the injuries in Feb that used to derail our season over a period of 7, 8 years. Um, and I hope he deals with it right. It's just his way of dealing with it right now.
Well, to your credit, Ehab, you said give him time, and you were the biggest advocate of that. But I've noticed nobody objected when you said you're an idiot at times.
Yeah, actually, George nodded quite strongly, if I might add.
But somebody who has been a skeptic is Seebs. Seebs, quite frankly, you must admit you're skeptical about where this team would go. Although you and George, and I remember this, felt that Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko were very good signings. So how does this improvement seem to you from where you stand? And I am at fault. Let me take you off mute. Yeah, keep going. I had you on mute. Are you there?
Sorry.
Yeah, keep.
Both me and George said at the start of the season, yeah, both me and George said at the start of the season that we felt that we would win the first 6 fixtures because they were very kind to us.
Wow.
And we prepared well the season in pre-season because the team hadn't been disrupted much, the first 11, and we had those extra players, them signings coming in, so we knew it was going to be a good start. Ironically enough, we went to United and performed really well, especially with the ball. Maybe not, we were a bit naive without the ball, and like I say, it was probably our best performance and we lost. But with the momentum, we've got better and better. And I think we're absolutely guaranteed top 4 now. Like I say, we're not at the start of the second half of the season. We've got another 5 games before we go to the second half of the season. But with the 24 games we've got left, we're in such a position now that we could draw 4, lose 7, and we could still end up with about 79 points, and that'll be top 4. So if you look at it like that, and how we expected what we were going to do at the start of the season, 79 points is a massive improvement. So, yeah, I mean, items in games, he reacts to things far too late, put substitutes on too late and everything. But generally, there's been a massive improvement, and I think we're bang on top 4. Don't think we're going to win it, but we're second, third, or fourth this year.
Yes, it's third. So you're saying 79 points, which is 36 points more than where we are at today. George, do you agree with Seebs? I know you two are partial to each other, Northern Soul lovers, but I need you to be objective, my friend.
Well, I agree with it. I agree with Ian on everything normally.
Yes, that's a problem.
Politically, football-wise, music-wise, I agree with him on this as well. But it's a surprise. Let's not beat about the bush. we're shocked to be sitting here where we are at this point in this season. None of us envisaged this at all.
Yes.
And it's not undeserved. That's the point. I think, apart from the Leeds game, we've deserved to win every game that we've won. We've not been lucky, really, I don't think. But we are very dependent on one or two players. And should anything happen to Xhaka, the drop-off in the way the team plays is huge. I mean, it just really is. Without him, we just don't look the same at all. And I know other people play well. Jesus plays well. Saka's been playing well. Even Thomas Partey's come to the party and started playing good. And he's quite important. But Xhaka is absolutely instrumental to the team. And I fear what will happen if anything happens to him. But he seems the most robust player in the world. And he's like one of those superheroes that repairs himself overnight. I think we'll be all right. I think, as everybody else said, top four almost nailed on. And I think we've got a chance to win it because I've said it in previous podcasts. We've got a 5-point start. They can only get 3 points, City, the same as us, no matter how good they are, no matter how much better they are, no matter how easier it is for them to beat teams than us, it's still only 3 points. And if we keep getting 3 points, all we have to do is not get beat twice by them. But people seem to forget that it's still not in our hands. Obviously, it's not in our hands at this early stage. But what I'm saying is, if City beat us twice, we're behind.
Yes, it is.
We play them twice, and if they beat us twice, which they normally do, home and away, quite comfortably, that 5 points has gone. So I don't see us winning it because I just watch them play and watch us play and think they're just a lot better than us. But
George.
Who knows?
Well, George, they have 16 players at the World Cup and we have 10. And I want to go back to Byso because this is the World Cup edition. Byso, George spoke about the risk of not having Xhaka. He wasn't there for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and our midfield was not as effective. Let's put it that way. We came out eventually and won with those 2 Odegaard goals. But should we lose Xhaka for a long time, it could be a problem. What do you think of our 10 players and who you think might we face the greatest risk of them coming back broken down?
Well, I don't even want to imagine that team right now without Xhaka, but the great news about it is Xhaka is very resilient, so he can play at this level twice a week for I don't know how long, and he'll keep his level, right? Yeah. And so I'm not concerned about potentially losing Xhaka. For fingers crossed and touching wood and all of that. Hopefully he comes back unscathed, right? Our 10 players at the World Cup, the ones I am most concerned about are the ones with the Brazilian team, right? Because I believe Brazil is going to go really far. And so they will get to play quite a lot of football, right? But then again, I don't see Martinelli starting, so he's not going to play a lot. Jesus will likely start some of these games because they play him on the right side of their formation. So he's not having to compete with Neymar or Vinicius from Real Madrid. So I do see him playing quite a bit of football. So that would be the only person I'll be concerned about. But I don't think Jesus has a poor my memory fails me here, but I'm not sure he has a poor fitness record. So
you remember last year for City, he didn't start for the earlier part of the game, and that was pretty much it. And then they brought him back in, but they didn't need him. Yes.
Yeah, so the Brazilians, it will be a concern. I'm very sure, well, not very sure, but I hope they do go far, but I think Ghana is not going to make it out of the group. And so we will get Partey back early enough.
Yes. Let me see my
And
groupings here.
the
Okay, go ahead.
England boys, the English boys, Saka will play a lot. Saka will play. You don't think so, George? Okay, I think he will. I think Southgate has started to depend on him quite a lot, and I do see him playing a lot of minutes. I don't think Ben White is going to start. I don't think Ramsdale is going to start. So those guys will be fresh when they get back. Saka is the only one I'm worried about, and historically he doesn't have a good second half of the season.
Yes.
And so that is a concern. Added with the fatigue of this World Cup, it's going to be a concern. So we need to find a solution to Saka, right? I thought we had that solution in Mark. I can't pronounce his name, but I don't think Arteta is showing a lot of faith in him by not playing him in the last few Europa League games, right? Marquinhos.
Oh yeah. You had me there. Yes, Marquinhos. Yes.
Yeah.
He hasn't got a lot of games. They only the Europe.
Yeah, I don't think he has. Hi, Cookie. Look alike. You see it? Look at that. We have the same hairstyle.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. No. So seriously, really, we need to find a solution for Saka. I think that's the only major concern I do have. And if Partey makes it out of the group stage unscathed, we have a good chance in the second half of the season, right? And hopefully, we don't make the same mistake from last year by not buying anybody. We freshen up the squad, look for one or two players to add so that they can relieve some of these players in the later part of the season, right? Europa League is going to be a big concern.
I'm not expecting much of that, but I heard Byso, I see George nodding when you said that and I'm going to bring him in. George, you were not agreeing with Byso about Saka. And by the way, George, you're talking about your props. I have my 1998 World Cup shirt here, the Coupe de Mundial. So don't think that you're without props.
It looks like you bought it in 1998 as well, mate.
Yeah, but George, yes, you were disagreeing with Byso. I hardly ever see you disagree with Byso, but you don't think Saka will be playing a lot of games?
No, I don't. I think he probably should, but I don't say it. I don't.
Who you think? I mean, I know Foden will be playing on the left. England played Saka on the right, the golden boy. Remember him for the European finals?
Yeah. I think he should play. Well, maybe he will. But if he does, he's the only one, isn't he? Ben White won't play very much.
Yes.
Ramsdale won't play at all. Who else have we got?
For England, that's our players for England. 3.
Like Byso says, Thomas Partey. He'll be back fairly quickly. I said I think we'll benefit from the World Cup because these players will be playing less than they would play if they were at home playing with us every week, twice a week. Yeah. So I have no problem with the World Cup at all. And the only one that will play every minute of every game is Xhaka, and he can play 3 times a week for 3 years, and he still wouldn't miss a fucking heartbeat. So I think we'll benefit from the World Cup. Honestly, I think it's like a nice little break for our lads. I've no problems at all with them.
Seebs, do you agree with George? Because and how far do you expect England to go? Will England? Because English fans are perennially optimistic. They might be quarrelsome and grumbling about the World Cup being in winter, but they expect to go very far.
I think that Southgate's one of those lucky managers. He's had a better draw in all the competitions that he's had than most of the England managers before him. And yeah, so I think we'll do quite well until we play the better teams, and then we'll go out as usual. Um,
that's optimistic.
yeah, that's how it is. That's how it goes. But like I say, basically we've got. I'm not worried by this. I do agree with George. I'm not worried by the World Cup. We've got 10 players there, 2 of which are keepers.
Yeah,
Turner, Tommy Lasso, and Party will be home after the group games, which is December the 2nd. Apparently, we're going to Dubai, and so that all the World Cup players can go and do the training in Dubai, matching up. And so
that's a hardship post. That's a hardship post. Wow.
yeah, so they'll basically that as soon as they're ready, they're going to have short break, and then they'll join up with the rest of the squad. So December the 2nd, those 3 players won't be still in it. Ramsdale, White won't play much. Martinelli won't play much. You've basically got Arsenal got 3 players there. We've got Xhaka, Saka, and Jesus, and they're the 3 players we've got that are likely to play lots of games. I think Saka will play because Southgate doesn't worry about form, and that's why he plays Maguire. Sterling will play, Saka will play, and so we've got 3 players there, and Switzerland, like we're saying, quarterfinals. England maximum semi-finals. Brazil maybe the same. The trouble is this year, is that a lot of the favourites have had big players injured, haven't they? The number of injuries that with Benzema just going down recently, and he's out, Mane's out, but
Yes,
but like the big teams have lost players, but we shouldn't worry. We've got 3 players at the World Cup in being realistic, and we're doing fine. And like I say, is I believe that we can lose 7 games and still have 79 points, and wherever that takes us. So it is going to be a hard second half of the season. We've got the FA Cup, the Euros, and everything like that. And Mikel doesn't rely on he doesn't like to rely on his second string. We've seen that in the past. But we have got decent players to come back in. Shevchenko and players like that are fantastic players and who are quite versatile as well. So, I'm not worried by the World Cup, and I think that although it's going to be a hard second half to the season, because it's not really a second half, it's a second half and a bit. It's 24 league games, Euro games, FA Cup games. So it's going to be good, but I'm not particularly worried. I think other teams have got more worries than we have, to be honest.
Well, I want to I know Ehab is a World Cup man. Like, I don't know how many he's been to, but he's from well, most of us international fans like myself, we cut our teeth on the World Cup. And guys, I was showing off my shirt, but my memory goes way back to 1970 when we all saw I saw the games recorded like 2 days later on black and white TV. And Brazil just simply amazed me. But that's not the subject. The point here, though, Ehab, is City has 16 players. Some of them are key, and some of them are on teams that are going to go deep. Are you worried about who are you worried most about? Are you worried about Arsenal or by City? Or City?
Actually, Arsenal. The thing is, City is a huge squad. Apart from KDB, the rest they exchangeable parts. You can just change him. Haaland is not going, so he's gonna be fit. He's gonna be rested, which is something, and the
Foden is
rest.
going to play a lot for England if England goes far.
Yeah, but I mean, Foden is, and this is controversial. Um, uh, they could improve on Foden. City, they could go out and buy someone today and he will play with rather than they. It's a this City team is scary. Even Wenger was talking about it the other day, and he says they're gonna catch up to Arsenal. It's not it's a matter of when, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
And because they won the league last year comfortably, and they added somebody that we've never seen anyone like before. Yeah, and it just it's just unfair. It's really unfair. And so the thing is, if KDB gets injured, which he does a lot, then they're in trouble. Then they're gonna start losing games because you
We
can
have two heads. We have two heads nodding. No.
he's playing his best
Three
football.
heads nodding. No.
He's playing his best football. You, to replace him, you either have to pull Foden back and play in his position, or play Bernardo Silva in that position. I don't know. Gundogan is great, but he's not gonna cover for what KDB is doing right now, especially with the level of understanding he's having with Haaland. You're gonna notice something missing. Like even the games that they've lost, they've created and they've done something. But if KDB goes, these chances are cut by a margin.
Ehab,
Uh,
I'm only. I want to just keep it focused. You're saying the
mm,
only person that they could lose from the World Cup is that could be serious is KDB.
yeah, the rest is they can exchange. They can they have somebody on the bench waiting. And like if they lose, let's say if they lose who Mares, or Mares is not even
No, Mara is not
Grealish.
going.
Grealish is not even playing. Bernardo Silva, they got Mares, they got Grealish.
Grealish is going for England.
Yeah, but he doesn't even play him. He doesn't
Yeah, I
start
know,
him.
I
He,
know.
he, he just even as Seebs said, first tough game for England, they're gonna be out. That's why I think Saka's gonna be tired. He's a bigger player for us than Grealish is for City, but it's not a big deal. We can recover from that. I think if if Saliba plays, he's gonna be an issue. He's never tried anything like this before, and if he starts, which I think he might, because Deschamps is really a fan of him, so he might do this. He might start, and the France are supposed to go deep even with the injuries. And it's just Saliba, Jesus, and Xhaka. Those are the three that I'm worried about, and we do have the good replacement for them, but
not
it's
not
not top of
Saliba.
the league by
Not
five
Saliba. Not
points.
Saliba. I think he has made a difference in that back line. Anyway,
Yeah, and
we are running up against our typical time, and I want to share with you something that Arbino said, so you can incorporate your points there. All of us were around into, well, I think even I'm thinking of Byso, but Byso seems to have been around forever. We had 36 points after 14 games, and of course, we went to Birmingham and they broke Eduardo in two pieces. Anything could happen. What are your thoughts on this Orbino stat? I'll start with you, George.
The stat doesn't mean that much because we might have the same number of points, but I watched that team, and that team played real football. They were the best team in the league by a country mile for the first three quarters, two-thirds of
Yes.
the season,
Yes.
and we're not at that level at all. The points total being as good as them doesn't mean that we're as good as that team was. But that team got broken by not just people point to that injury
To Eduardo.
to Eduardo, but it was Rosicky that got injured that made the biggest difference. He got injured. It was supposed to last for 2 weeks, and he was out for over 12 months.
Yes, he never came back. Yes.
Cesc Fabregas started breaking down. Robin van Persie started breaking down. We had such a paper-thin squad at that time, that we really suffered. And but that first 11, it was that. I remember Robin van Persie coming on Sky and saying, "We're playing football from a different planet," and we were. It's the best football I've seen any team play in the Premier League, and that includes the Invincibles. That first 2/3 of the season, before Rosicky and Eduardo and Fabregas got injured, and Robin van Persie, it was something special. So that's just a silly coincidence on the number of points. We're nowhere near as good as that team was, but we do have more depth. And anyway, that's my answer. I'm finished now.
Seebs, first, second, or third. Albino said we finished third. We, of course, forgot that we were broken. Our most formidable goal scorer. He didn't score stop goals, but he could score a goal from nothing. Was broken. Eduardo, and then went to Birmingham. A phantom goal against the left back from France. What's his name again? He went to City.
Clichy.
Clichy.
Yeah.
And today I feel a pain in my stomach. But you think, isn't this, as George said, deeper reserves?
Yeah, I mean, that Birmingham game, there was, like I say, it was the Clichy thing wasn't a penalty. There was obviously there was Bentner and who was the other striker up front at the time?
Adebayor.
And that's it, and he wouldn't pass.
Yes,
and had we scored, and had we scored, then the goal against wouldn't have mattered. We'd have won the game, and we might have limped home. But that game was the turning point. But like George said, we was picking up more and more injuries, and this season we have got more depth around first 11. Although, if we had 6 or 7 injuries, then no, we haven't got more depth. I don't think we have. I think if you look at players like Vieira, who are very lightweight, Vieira wouldn't show up in a big game. The difference is this year is where we are now. We can afford, like I say, I think we can afford to lose 7 and draw 4 games in the rest of the season, and we will still get top 4. So yeah, I think that's the difference. It's maybe not squad, because like I say, is if you go down to the likes of we played Marquinhos, as Byso said. He doesn't like certain players, and he doesn't give them time when he has the opportunity to give them time, as we see with Eddie last year. I mean, Eddie should have twice the amount of minutes that he has done, and he does that with a lot of squad players, and so when they are needed, they won't be ready. And so that will only come to pass later on in the season if some of these players are ready to step up. But like I say, if we did get 6 or 7 injuries to the first 11 players, then the squad wouldn't cope. But I do believe that we have got the gap there, because of what Chelsea and Tottenham and Liverpool, even Newcastle and all that have done. We've got now the gap to lose 7 games, draw 4, and we will still get top 4. So, yeah, I'm not worried about the World Cup. I'm not worried about City because I think they're going to win it anyway. So, not worried about City, not worried about the World Cup, and I think we'll get top 4. So, lovely jubbly.
Byso, are you with Albino, or I think he was just being mischievous, but I don't know.
Maybe what he's doing is trying to manage the expectations of the fans, because a lot of fans are starting to talk about potentially winning the league. But then again, I think it would be, given where we are as of today, it's not going to feel good if we do finish third. I'm not going to lie to you. I believe that we should be finishing top two as a minimum. But again, going into the season, top four was the goal. And whether you finish top two, you finish third or fourth, we would still have achieved our goal, right? And so it's I don't see how we can compare the two because we know exactly what went wrong with this Arsenal team, and the reason why they did finish third. And I hope that we don't suffer the same fate. So touch wood, fingers crossed, and doing everything again. Hope we can keep all of our players healthy, keep them available, and if we manage to do that, we should finish top two. But
Ehab, you are with Arbino or you're well,
No.
Arbino didn't really say anything. He's just saying that we were
Yeah.
sailing along nicely. And then we finished third and didn't give the context.
I can actually I can have an own podcast on what can go wrong, but with the analysis, but I'm not gonna go into it. It's not far fetched. Newcastle and who's the fourth? Tottenham are 7 points behind us. It's three losses away from being fringe top four. So and our we play City. So there's a lot of hard games coming up, guys. Newcastle home and away are not easy. Brighton is not easy. Manchester City is not easy. We have still to go to Anfield, which is not an easy game. So there's a bunch of games where you can lose, and it's a season. It's a long gas season, so you never know what's going to happen. 5 years is a good cushion. Anybody can win it, but we have a five point head start, so that's why we're feeling good. If we stop playing the way we're playing, and if we stop getting the breaks that we get in, it might be really bad. But as I said, uh, we have to take it one game at a time. Win the games that we're supposed to win. If you play if we play Leeds again, we should beat them. If we play Southampton, we should make sure in Southampton we have to make sure that we dominate that game, do our work, and score, take our chances, and game by game, and that's it. This is the only thing. What he's saying is not far fetched at all, and because as I said, Newcastle is 7 points behind us, Tottenham is 8 points behind us, and United are 9 points behind us. And people say, "Oh, we have a game in hand," but the game in hand is against City, for fuck's sake. It's not like it's 3 points. So what he's saying is not at all far fetched.
Well, yeah, but isn't it a matter of injuries? Let us just end on the note here that of course, we can look our main rivals, Chelsea and Liverpool, are not doing well compared to last year. And if anybody want to make a final comment on that? Maybe George, you want to make a final comment on the fact that Chelsea and Liverpool, I don't know which one of them is going to fall away the most, but I was most disappointed Chelsea. Liverpool has had its injuries, but I can see them coming back. George, you want to say something on that before we end?
Yeah, I think they will get better. Chelsea and Liverpool will get better.
You think?
I think Manchester United will play better. I don't think Spurs will because I think they're pretty shit, really. I think they're, and that's not because of Spurs. I just think that they're winning when they shouldn't be winning, and no team can keep that up. We said this last, remember the 22-game unbeaten run. You can defy expectations for a while. Results can exceed performances for a while, but eventually they'll reflect them. And I think Spurs will fall away. I'm not at all worried about Newcastle. Not at all worried about Newcastle. All this hype about Newcastle at the moment, they'll fall away. They could easily lose 3 or 4 games on the trot. They're just not.
I know you're not convinced by the fella that's been scoring goals for them. He's never scored a lot of goals. But
no, his bubble will fucking burst, and he'll go back to fucking kicking it in the stands again. Yeah. No, it's they won't keep winning. So I think we're in a sound position. And like Byso said, we should finish top two. Because the only two teams that are better than us in the league are Manchester City and Manchester City's second 11.
Seebs, last words from you after you look at Mr. Barbino's little stat there.
I don't think we should finish top two. Like I say, we're not even halfway through the season yet. Lots can happen. If we go to the European final, then we might struggle more than some of the other sides. Liverpool are still Liverpool. You know what I mean? They can win 15 games on the trot, absolutely no problem at all when they're on form. And I know they're loads of points behind. I mean, the thing to remember is that all of those sides will lose games, and so we will have the points cushion over them, and that's why I said we're guaranteed top four, not anything necessarily. So at this stage of the season, I think it's difficult to say we should finish second when, like, there's so many things that we just don't know about. There's so many factors that we just don't know what's going to happen, who's going to do what, and anything like this. I mean, the other thing, this is the Premier League. A top team can lose to a team that are third from bottom quite easily. So, but yeah, I don't think we're going to beat City. I think City are going to win, but I don't think we're going to finish outside the top four either. I think there's enough of the other sides that will lose as many games as we do, so it's not a problem. Happy days.
Ehab, last words after looking at Arbino stats. I took it down just so that we can have one last look at you.
Yeah, I think, as I said, we have to make sure that this position that we just happen to be in, we played well, and everybody, teams like Chelsea and Liverpool, just had a steep fall, and we have to make the best out of it. It leaves more room in the top four. I'd rather have Newcastle and Brighton chasing me than Chelsea and Liverpool, because those two, down the stretch, know how to handle the pressure and know how to finish the season much more than the new teams, and the players themselves will understand what's at stake. They know how to play at the end of the season, how to preserve themselves in games. So we are in a good position. We have to open up as much as a gap that we can, as big of a gap as we can, and just, when things get tougher, we will be ahead of everyone. This is what we have to focus on right now, because Liverpool are gonna come back. Chelsea are gonna come back once Graham Potter gets things together, and they're probably gonna throw 100 million in the transfer window just to fix the team.
Well, before I go to the lady of the moment, the rose amongst the thorns. Just remember, guys, we rely on your subscribing to our podcast. We rely on your likes. We are not the most popular view, but we try to be factual and try not to go with the emotions. And we think that there is a place for this kind of view in football. Football is full of emotions. And I think that today's podcast perhaps will encourage you to like and subscribe. So, Byso, after Mr. Urbino's look at the teams that are faltering, and the teams that are not, who have faltered the most, are Chelsea and Liverpool, -7 and -14. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts as to where this could finally end up?
I think Chelsea will continue to falter. I believe that they're having right now a clash of I would say, ideology or identity with what Graham Potter brings and the type of players that they have available in the squad at the moment. So they're going to be blowing hot and cold for the rest of the season until, either if they stick with Graham Potter, then, they'll try to get the players that can play his style of football, and maybe they come back next season. But I don't see it for them for the rest of the season. For Liverpool, I believe just before the break, Salah was getting back his goal-scoring form. He was on back-to-back hat-tricks, I think, or is it back-to-back braces? So Liverpool was starting to come together. If they address their midfield issues in the January transfer window, I think they can improve in the second half of the season. I don't think they're in danger of falling out of top four. I think they can make top four still, just on the quality of finishers that they have at the top, right? Jota, Salah, Salah definitely is going to carry the bulk of everything, and Nunes, right? So I think they can win games, but they will be in that top four race. I see us still maintaining our level, maybe not as high, but I do not see us dropping out of top four. We talk about Manchester City being a shoe-in for the title. History tells us that is the correct approach to take. But I don't know. It's the World Cup year. They haven't looked invincible. And they have a lot of players that will go far in the World Cup, so you just never know. And I do think that in as much as the new striker Haaland is scoring lots of goals, his presence in that team has brought a little bit of a change in the dynamic, and that could in turn affect the overall performance of that team, even though he's scoring. And so it's they have the best chance of winning the league, but I don't think that you can count. I don't think it's going to be with such a huge gap that they're going to take that league. I don't think they'll be as excellent as they've been in the second half of all the seasons as they've played. And I think I'm going to address that comment about KDB. Don't forget, Manchester City went on a record-breaking season where KDB played only 5 games.
Wow.
So they can play without Kevin De Bruyne.
Wow. Trust Byso to remember those little nuggets.
I think that's the genius of Pep, because he can lose his best player and still come with a team it's unbelievable. They lost Aguero and we're thinking, what's City going to do without a striker? And boom, they get to the final and they win the league with playing without a striker up top, right? So Pep will always find a way, and I just hope that maybe this time around it doesn't, and we get to surprise everyone. You never can tell.
Well, guys, this has been 50 something minutes of very good talk. I think the consensus is, yes, there are some threats lying around the corner, but the World Cup isn't the biggest threat. I think also there's a consensus that we should definitely make top 4. Most people are saying somewhere second. And I think Byso hit the nail on the head. Yeah, City likely to win the league, but it's not a shoe-in. They don't look dominant. They lost to that team the last game around. I can't remember it, but it was a team that
Nottingham Forest.
Yes, Nottingham Forest. I know. Was it? No, it's not Nottingham Forest.
It's
I don't
not
remember. Who did they lose to?
Brentford.
Brentford. Right. With that.
Okay, it was Liverpool that lost to Nottingham then.
Yes.
Yeah, it was Liverpool. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. By the way, that the striker for Brentford is up for gambling.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you very much. Let's see. Remember, audience, like and subscribe. We do this for fun, but I think that we have tried to be honest and as possible about our views. And that's all we require for as fans, not people playing for clicks. Thanks again, like and subscribe. We want it. We have been growing slowly, and I need your support. Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All righty.
Bye.